In the vast and ever-shifting landscape of 19th century Europe, a storm was silently forming, a storm born not of wind or rain, but of pride, ambition, and the dangerous dance of empires. This is the story of the Franco Prussian War, a conflict that reshaped continents, destroyed empires, and carved new destinies into the stone of history. But before the cannons roared and battlefields turned red, there was a tense calm spreading across Europe, a calm so deceptive that even kings believed peace would last forever. Prussia, a rising giant forged in discipline and steel, marched toward its dream of a united Germany. Its armies were growing stronger, its strategies sharper, and its ambitions bolder with every passing year. Europe watched this transformation with both fear and fascination, sensing that Prussia's rise would soon challenge the balance of power that had held the continent together for decades. Meanwhile, France, an old empire marked by elegance and ego, feared losing its influence. Under Emperor Napoleon III, the French Empire tried to project confidence and stability, but beneath the surface lay insecurity and fading dominance. Their rivalry with Prussia was not sudden. It was a slow-burning fire fueled by decades of suspicion, political maneuvering, and wounded pride. At the heart of this growing tension stood Otto von Bismarck, the cunning Prussian statesman who believed unity required blood and iron. When the Ems dispatch reached his hands, he saw an opportunity. With a few strategic edits, he transformed a simple diplomatic message into an explosive insult, knowing France would react with anger and humiliation. And just like that, the spark that would ignite a war was set. As the edited telegram spread across Europe, shock followed. Newspapers exploded with headlines, politicians panicked, and citizens whispered in fear. France felt mocked, Prussia felt challenged. Before long, France declared war, and Europe stood frozen as two powerful empires rushed toward the battlefield. What began as a diplomatic dispute became a continental crisis. When war erupted in July 1870, the world changed in an instant. Soldiers who had once tilled fields now carried rifles. Towns echoed with drums of mobilization. Trains overloaded with troops roared across borders. Families said hurried goodbyes as young men marched toward uncertainty, unaware of the horrors waiting for them on distant battlefields. The early battles were brutal. Cannon fire shook the skies, thick smoke covered the fields, and thousands fell before they even understood the reason behind the fighting. The disciplined Prussian forces advanced with deadly precision, while the French struggled to maintain their lines. Each clash left behind broken bodies, shattered hopes, and a growing sense of doom. Then came the Battle of Sedan, one of the most decisive encounters of the war. The French army found itself surrounded, overwhelmed, and exhausted. Chaos erupted as soldiers tried desperately to escape the tightening Prussian grip. By the end, the French forces were crushed, marking the fall of an entire army and sealing the fate of their emperor. Emperor Napoleon III, once proud and powerful, was forced to surrender. His capture sent shockwaves through Europe. For France, it was a moment of humiliation unlike any other. For Prussia, it was a triumph. But even with the emperor defeated, the suffering was far from over. The war had taken a darker turn, and the people of France were about to face new horrors. As Prussian forces advanced, they surrounded Paris, cutting off supplies and isolating the city. Starvation soon gripped the population. Markets emptied, hunger spread, and desperate citizens ate horses, dogs, and even zoo animals to survive. Families huddled together in cold rooms as fear grew with every passing day. Then came the bombardment. Prussian artillery rained shells upon the city, turning nights into terrifying displays of fire and destruction. Buildings collapsed, streets burned, and civilians ran for shelter as explosions echoed across Paris. The once vibrant city, filled with art and culture, had become a nightmare of smoke and ruins. When the war finally ended, Prussia claimed its ultimate victory. In the glittering Hall of Mirrors at the Palace of Versailles, German leaders stood proudly as the German Empire was proclaimed. The symbolic humiliation of France added salt to its already deep wounds, and a new power now dominated Europe, one forged through war, strategy, and sacrifice. France, defeated and broken, was forced to pay a crushing war indemnity. Its people struggled to rebuild shattered homes and shattered lives. Widows mourned husbands who would never return. Children grew up in a country marked by sorrow, insecurity, and loss. The weight of defeat hung heavily over the nation. Europe, too, had changed forever. Borders were redrawn, alliances shifted, and a new political landscape emerged. The rise of the German Empire disturbed the old balance of power, planting seeds of future conflicts. The continent that had once enjoyed fragile peace now faced an uncertain and uneasy future. And when the final cannon fell silent, only the battlefield remained, a lonely wasteland of abandoned weapons, torn flags, and silent graves. The Franco Prussian War was more than a struggle for power. It was a tragic reminder of the cost of ambition. Empires rise and fall, but the human suffering left behind lingers forever, echoing through history as a warning of what pride can destroy.